Hello, Trail Seeker, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Today is March 1st. It is our 5th anniversary of the Learn True Health podcast. Can you believe it? 5 years. I can hardly believe it. I remember the day that my husband and I decided to pursue this and do the podcast. You don't hear his voice, but he's behind the scenes. He's been such a huge supporter and helper. When there's tech things I can't figure out, he's right there to help me. So really, it's a journey that we've both taken this last 5 years. We started actually something like 6 months before, just sort of planning it out, studying. We had to teach ourselves all kinds of things, what kind of equipment to use, what kind of programs to use, editing software, and and how to get guests, what kind of format to use, all that stuff we had to figure out. And we poured through all the research. Of course, I've been listening to podcasts for years, so I had a deep affinity for them. And I'd always wanted to do one, and it just made so much sense that I wanted to share my healing journey. And if you're a new listener, you may not have heard, but I suffered for many years with a chronic illness. I had type 2 diabetes, chronic adrenal fatigue, chronic infections for which I was on monthly antibiotics for. I was told by an endocrinologist after a battery of tests that I would never have kids, that I was completely infertile. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I was basically told that I was barren. And I was just getting worse and worse and worse. I felt like I was a prisoner trapped in my own body. I would just burst into tears all the time because I was constantly hungry. My blood sugar was out of control. And I just had this just gnawing pains in my body. It was hunger. It was, restless legs. It was, just my whole body was just it's an indescribable sensation when the body is so deficient in minerals that your skin crawls, your muscles crawl. I had problems sleeping, and then all day I was exhausted. In the morning times, I couldn't process human language. My brain had such bad brain fog. My husband would talk to me, and I couldn't even understand him. And this was me in my 20s and in my late 20s and my early 30s. This was the quality of my life. And I was young. This is when we're supposed to go out and just climb mountains and have fun. And there I was just feeling like I was on death's door. And it was holistic medicine and our journey that my husband and I started back in 2008 when we decided to shop the perimeter of the grocery store, to buy organic, to seek out functional medicine, to seek out naturopathic medicine. And we kept searching and searching because we really saw that the mainstream medical system was good at prescribing drugs and maintaining chronic disease, but had no tools to help me get better. And I saw so many doctors, and I'm sure if you have any kind of chronic illness, you have had the same frustrations. If you're sick of being on drugs and you're sick of being told that you're just going to have it because of your genetics or because of your age or because of your sex or whatever, right? Whatever, because of your heritage. MDs are not trained in how to reverse disease. And I value MDs as part of the full spectrum that is offered to us in holistic medicine or in medicine in general. But they only are one piece of the puzzle. They're only one piece of the pie, if you think about it. But we're taught growing up that they're the only doctor to see. I can't tell you how many listeners last 5 years have reached out to me and said, thank you, because of your show, I learned that there are doctors other than MDs out there. There are doctors of naturopathic medicine that have the ability to prescribe drugs if they wanted to. They have the ability to run labs. They're fantastic diagnosticians, but their focus is on healing the body with nutrition. And now we have health coaching, and health coaching has taken off. It's the number one growing career several years in a row in the field of health. And that is because you get this level of care and accountability and partnership that you don't we're not designed to get that from our doctor. Our doctors looks through our labs and analyzes us and listens to our symptoms, and then if it's a good doctor, helps us with maybe diet changes, supplement changes, herb changes if they're a naturopath. And then you go home and then you try to do what they told you to do. And a health coach, this is where they shine, is that they help you to implement these changes on an emotional level, on a day-to-day level, help you to make these habit changes. And so in the last 10 years, I've mentored under several very amazing naturopathic physicians, very amazing doctors. They've taught me, they mentored me. I went back to school, I became a health coach. And not only did I reverse all of my health conditions using actually the supplements. One of the things we're going to talk about today are the supplements that I got on that helped me to reverse all of these conditions. But I was able to conceive our son completely naturally and on the first try. And same with the baby I'm carrying right now. When my husband and I decided, okay, let's go for it, it was again on the first try. Now, coming from a woman who was told her entire adult life, up until a few years ago, that I could never have kids, ever. That I didn't have a cycle. I had very severe polycystic ovarian syndrome, for which I do not have anymore. And this is something that MDs will tell you you can't reverse. MDs will tell you, there's MDs out there who will tell you can't reverse diabetes either. Type 2 diabetes is 100% reversible. It was probably one of the easiest things that I was able to reverse, but it was the thing that I was probably suffering from the most because blood sugar imbalance is incredibly uncomfortable. So I'm sharing a little bit about my journey for those who are newer and haven't heard this. And of course, you can go back and listen to past episodes. Episode 0, the beginning one, you can go out to the website, learntohealth.com. I share, for about 15 minutes, I share my story in more detail. But it was because of this, I was able to reverse the things that I was constantly suffering from using natural medicine. And I decided to launch the show 5 years ago because this needs to get out. People are suffering needlessly, and we need to help. We need to continue to share this information. And I love that the listeners of Learn to Health podcast share these episodes with their friends and family. This is how we've grown. We've had millions and millions of downloads, and I'm so excited that we're helping so many people to discover that true health is possible, even if they've been told their whole life by doctors that it's not. You're seeing the wrong doctor if your doctor doesn't believe in you. If your doctor doesn't believe that your body can heal itself, you need to go get a second opinion from a doctor that believes in you, that wants you to have optimal health. And that's very important. The distinction between maintaining disease and achieving optimal health. Even if you have a condition, let's say type 1 diabetes, for which, you're on insulin for, there's a broad spectrum of health within that space. I know a gentleman actually he had raging out of control blood sugar, and he was at the highest end of insulin that he was injecting. And then he saw a naturopath, got on the same supplements that actually I got on to reverse my type 2 diabetes. And it helped him between the diet that the naturopath recommended and the supplements that the naturopath had him on, all of the minerals that are so good at helping the body become even more efficient. He was able to cut his insulin by 75% because his insulin sensitivity went up and his blood sugar became more stabilized as a type 1 diabetic. So imagine, no matter what condition you have, there's a spectrum in which you can achieve optimal health within that, right? Now, I know people who've reversed diseases that you and I believe are fatal, you and I have been told are irreversible. The body is amazing. And if you believe that you can heal, you want to make sure your practitioners believe that you can heal as well. And health coaches believe in you and believe in your ability to shift your life, not only to have great health, but have an amazing, fulfilling life with joy in every area of your life, with fulfillment in every area of your life. So that's why I'm such a big advocate for sharing this information, for continuing the podcast. So I can't believe we've been doing this for 5 years. I'm very happy we have. That was my goal, to continue to share this information. And so here's to the last 5 years and all the wonderful lives that we have helped. And here's to the next 5 years. And how many people can we help as a community? Continue sharing this podcast, and let's turn this ripple into a tidal wave and help as many people as possible to achieve true health. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 458. I am so excited for today's guest. We have back on the show probably one of my favorite guests, and you have not heard from her in a while, Jennifer Saltzman. Jennifer, you were in episode 9 and 10, 31, 179, and 180. And so listeners can go back to those episodes to hear more about Jen's story of healing. And also in one of those episodes, she interviews me, and that's a fun one, turning the tables on me. And I share my full story of healing and the things that we've both struggled with, and ended up, finding our salvation through holistic medicine and our I should say our physical salvation, to be able to come from such suffering for so many years and multiple illnesses to sort of be thrown away by the mainstream medical system and just told that you're going to be on a drug for the rest of your life, or this is just how it is. And then to find natural medicine, really, really good natural medicine that allows your body to heal, that gives your body all the nutrients it needs, the raw building blocks it needs to heal, to the point where you no longer have any of those problems. And that's something that Jen and I both have experienced. And that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast, is I suffered for so many years, and as did Jen. And so you can go back and listen to those episodes to hear more about her story. But she has basically been in the health industry for over 20 years and has been helping her clients to gain a foothold into their health that they never thought possible, and to overcome things that they never even imagined could or dreamed could be possible using natural medicine. And Jen, I'm so excited for you to be here today, because one thing you do now, so of course you work with clients, you help them through the website takeyoursupplements.com. And I definitely recommend listeners go there and sign up for a free conversation with you or one of the other amazing health coaches at takeyoursupplements.com. And by doing that, the coaches don't charge you, which is a very unique system that we have at takeyoursupplements.com. The coaches help you to determine what supplements you need to take, and some very specific diet recommendations to support your needs. And then you buy the supplements and you follow their protocol, and you see fantastic results. So it's actually a very affordable way to do it. Now, Jen, you work with people at takeyoursupplements.com, but you also have been helping people who want to become health coaches, people who either are health coaches who want to incorporate holistic supplements and herbs into their existing practice, or people who are lay people who are just really interested in health, and they would love to now help others as well. And so we're here to talk about that today, this idea that we can heal the body with natural medicine, and that we can then help others do the same. Welcome back on the show.
Thank you so much, Ashley. What an honor to be with you again today. I am quite moved, I have to say, in this particular season. Since the last time we have talked, I feel like my prayers have been answered. In an earlier interview, I think I talked about being very, very sick as an age 25-year-old person, on welfare, bedridden for most of the day. I prayed a prayer that was the following: that none of my suffering would be in vain, that God would use all of my suffering and turn it for good. And I have to tell you, I am feeling like that season is upon me, and that there is an immense amount of grace, and an immense amount of success that I've been having, particularly in this last, I would say, 2-year season of working with clients, because people are having, not only have I recovered my health like significantly. I mean, there's one little thing I'm still waiting on, but it's happening. I've learned to live with it, and it's I'm 99% there. Um, and my energy is returned. I can work a lot of hours now, and I'm so blessed to be able to put it into practice helping others now. But what's so incredibly encouraging to me in this particular season is that there are systems in place now with Take Your Supplements and some of the tools that we're using, and my ability to help and coach other health coaches, and we'll talk more about that as we go, that is just systematically producing phenomenal results. And so I'm kind of pinching myself, to be honest with you. And I'm just really excited to share with your listening audience kind of breaking down what exactly they can expect if they do decide to go and join us in our journey with Take Your Supplements, what kind of support they can expect to receive, what kind of results we have had, and also what it might look like if somebody's really excited about becoming an influencer for their people in their sphere of influence, to really elevate those people's health with tools of self-advocacy, and just, it's amazing. So that's what I'm really excited to share with you today.
That's so awesome. So there's a few things I want to touch on that you said. The first thing is, I've never told any listener, I haven't said this on any podcast yet, but I just remembered, so I had who named takeyoursupplements.com? I had a client. This was I want to say over 6 years ago. Yeah, it was over 6 years ago. It was before we gave birth to our son. I always say we, by the way, I try to say we because, like, I know I was the one that gave birth, but like my husband, my husband's involved. So it's the two of us. It takes an effort on both parts. So my client came to me, and I remember her so well. She had hot flashes so bad that she was just drenched in a puddle, and she lived in the desert, and she was still drenched in a puddle all day long. And she was really broke. She said, I just have almost no money to put towards this, but I have to get my health back. And so I did the assessment, which is part of the scoring assessment that is taught to the health coaches. So if someone wants to become a health coach, they can talk to Jennifer Saltzman and get with the program. It's a very affordable program that teaches this style of, it's actually taught from naturopaths, from the naturopathic philosophy of listening to the body and listening to the symptoms and addressing the nutrient deficiencies based on the symptoms. So I talked to her and I said, okay, there's this really good supplement we have. It's very comprehensive. It's also affordable. And it was less than $50 a month for this one bottle. And it included a lot of minerals. It included a good amount of vitamins. It would not have been my first, like, if she had a bigger budget, or if she, I would have done more with her, but I explained some things to change in diet and take this up and take this one supplement, because at least she would be sort of filling up the mineral deficiencies she had. Well, she called me back less than a month later and she said, "You're not going to believe this, but my hot flashes are 100% gone." She goes, "I'm on board. I want to learn everything about this. I have to tell all my friends about this. Like, my husband says I'm a different person. Like, I'm no longer, frustrating to be around." Just to put it
Right.
to put it nicely.
Yeah,
And
we know another word for it.
there's another word for
Use,
it.
but yes.
And she was so amazed. And I said, "Yeah, well, this is it. And the thing is that that's not even we weren't even addressing the major nutrient deficiencies that often accompany hot flashes. But what I was addressing were most commonly the mineral deficiencies, just with this one particular liquid multivitamin mineral supplement that is really, really high quality, that is provided through takeyoursupplements.com. So she got on board and talked to her husband, and they decided to put more money towards it, towards her protocol, just so she could have the full, like, everything her body needs. And she said it was like she had never felt so good. She kept calling me and just to, like, update me. She said, "I'm in my 50s. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I can't believe it. I feel so good." And this is something I hear so often from my clients. But the fact that in the first month that she went from hot flashes, sitting in a pool of her own sweat daily, to none at all within 1 month, was like, I just love that. I love hearing people's results, even though I've seen it time and time again. I love hearing it. And so she started just telling all her friends and family. And of course, it's sort of hard to get people to listen when they're not ready to change, right? So she started yelling, "Take your supplements! Take your supplements!"
I love it.
And that's where I got the name takeyoursupplements.com, because she was just like, "Why don't people just take your supplements?" So
That
I
is so
yeah,
funny.
so it's just that was just one of my clients in the last 10 years that have had such great success with and the thing is that supplements are like the mortar, they're not the bricks, right? Like I'm not
Hmm.
saying you can just like keep doing everything else you're doing in life, like like I like to use the example, you can't just go to McDonald's and then take a vitamin C and expect it all to go away, right? That's not the
Hmm.
point. But if you have a major mineral deficiency, you can't get on top of it, with diet changes, because of the farming practices of the last 100 years, which is what we've discussed in past interviews. With I've even had a man on who has a degree in soil agriculture, and he talks about we cannot get enough minerals from plants, even if we're eating plants all day long, because of the way minerals are distributed across the soil, because he's tested soil. He sees he's actually worked with the Amish and work with certain populations in China. And if they're populations that live off of the land, they often have major health issues because they have major mineral deficiencies
Hmm.
because their soil is depleted. So these are the things that we can get really good health from eating a very clean and healthy diet, and we can still have mineral or nutrient deficiencies that we want to fill in the gaps with supplements and herbs. I love herbs. Herbal medicine is so amazing when you have the right quality, when you have the right dose, and when you have the right one your body needs. So there's so many things that we can do there. One thing you mentioned though is that you are struggling with one little tiny thing, and what I have to point out about Jen, if anyone else had the thing that Jen has, they would be on massive pain meds and probably would have had surgery. And Jen is on no pain meds and is fully functioning. And when she said, I've learned to live with it, her version of learn to live with it is she does physical therapy and exercises and takes supplements, and she takes care of her body so that her body doesn't produce the amount of pain that other people would have been on massive pain meds for. So I have to really give Jennifer credit. If anyone who's listening has chronic pain, you got to talk to Jen. She's really experienced in the realm of how to work with and manage pain on a natural level if that's someone's goal. Yeah, so this is something where you and I have really been parallel. You and I have been friends for many years, and our lives have been really paralleled together in that we both suffered and we both didn't want our suffering to be in vain. And I also looked at losing both my parents. I lost my mom to cancer, my dad to heart disease. And I said, I don't want their deaths to be in vain either.
Hmm.
I want to
Hmm.
learn how I can help others. I can't save my parents, but if I can help a listener save theirs or save themselves from that fate so that their children can have their parents longer, that's exactly what I'm here to do. So you've been helping people for many years with holistic health, but you said in the last 2 years you've really seen like just a very significant improvement. Once we do something for over 10 years or over 20 years, it's like we mature into that field, and you
Hmm.
really see that you've gone into this like new level of understanding and efficiency when it comes to helping your clients gain their health back. What do you think happened in the last 2 years that really helped you with that?
Well, a couple things. One, that I'd say the main thing is a more streamlined version of what you referred to as the I can't remember if you call it the health intake, or we call it the health evaluation. Basically, we've had renditions of that over the years that we've worked with, but essentially looking at what people would call what's bothering them, their symptomology, right? And from a naturopathic perspective, we understand that it all works together. So, but we do look at the body in these categories based on a lot of research from naturopathic doctors over the years. but the advent of it becoming digitized, believe it or not, has been a huge piece because it's so easy to, well, not only has it become digitized, but it's become, it's easier to share. Just the technology around it has become very, 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 very good. And the systematic use and revisiting of that. So, as an example, when a client works with me or any of our coaches, we start out by giving them this health evaluation, and they get what's called a health score. And what we do is we track that over the course of 90 days. We do it. I really like to retake the health evaluation in 90 days. But the most significant changes that I have found within the last couple of years are because I've been so consistent with using that, not only as a place to know exactly how to start somebody so that they're getting the most bang for their buck. We're looking at, their overall nutritional needs, and then any fine tuning things so that things that they have been struggling with for years, particularly ones that from our perspective are not that difficult to help, rectify or help elevate in terms of their health score, they're getting very quick results. Examples of those things would be, for instance, acid reflux, digestive distress, bloating, constipation. Those things are things that we see rectify very, very quickly. But the other thing that I have done systematically over the last couple of years is set into a place a very astute follow-up schedule with people. So the level of care, the level of support that people get working with us without having to pay us for our time is really kind of something that sets what we do apart. Because my follow-up with people, I set up monthly check-ins with them. There's just a lot of support. If they need anything, they reach out. If they have questions, they're not out there on their own trying to figure out what the next step is. So there's a lot of fine tuning that goes in. So for example, they'll start on a program. And because of that, we do not work with clients unless they're willing to. And I mean, we will every once in a while, sometimes it happens, but we really can't work with everyone because, we only have so much time and availability. But for those that choose to understand the value of what we provide, because it's an extreme amount of value, the financial responsibility at this point, I'm not sure it will always be that way, but at this point is just for the supplements. So
What you're saying is we don't, when someone goes to takeyoursupplements.com, they're working with a health coach, and the health coach is not charging them for their time.
exactly.
They do make a very small, and I have to really stress, it is a small commission off of the supplements, which is nice. It's nice because we're, being compensated for our time, and the client really feels like they're getting a deal because they're getting their life back and their health back. And should the client wish to hire a health coach and and work with them long term and pay them, that's fine. But we don't. This isn't some kind of like upsell or some kind of like you get roped into something. There's no sales pitch. There's no it's not what is it called when you go look at a vacation home and you're getting like roped into a presentation. This isn't
Right. Timeshare. You
this
got to buy a
isn't
timeshare.
yeah. This
Buy
is
a
not like buying
timeshare. Yeah.
timeshare. Like this is you're just you go and you actually talk to a real health coach that probably has no sales training whatsoever. Is not there's no that we have no system for trying to charge you for our time. If someone had really like if someone was like, "Oh man, I just want to keep talking to you every week. Can I pay you for your time?" I'm sure they could you and your health coach could
Yes.
work that out. But
Right.
this is purely we're trying to help people get on the right supplements they need that are high, are very high quality, that are reasonably priced, and that really help people get results. And this is like a thing where we help as many people as we can, and these people don't want to get off the supplements because they have amazing results, and then they tell their friends and family. And I've done, like, one of my clients ended up sending me his entire family, and it's so cool. Now, not everyone could get their entire family on board because, like, I can't even get my entire family to to listen to me.
Right.
We often
Right.
can't. But this was one thing where he was like, I really want to help my whole family. And I said to him, I just had this epiphany, and sometimes God just like sends you a message, right? Like you just have like this divine inspiration. And I said to him, who is the matriarch of your family that if you help that one person, the entire family would fall into line? Because they have a very tight family unit. And he goes,
Mhm.
my grandmother
Mhm.
is the one person that if we could help her health conditions, we would have like my cousins, like we would have everyone listening. And she
Mhm.
had edema that was so bad her legs were purple. Like
Mm.
she was in so much agony. And you should see this woman now. Like it has been like almost 10 years, and you should see, like, she's in her 80s, she's super healthy, and she got healthy so fast. The entire family was like, what are you doing? And this is then when my client said, you have to talk to my health coach, you have to just do what
Right.
she says, just listen to her, do what she says. So this is one of those things where we're just like, we're trying to help people. Like our main goal is like, you don't have to suffer anymore, and your loved ones don't have to suffer anymore, and we've got this information. And sometimes I guess people have been jaded in the past. I've gone through that where I thought I was getting a really good experience, and then a company tried to upsell me or tried to, like, sell me something I didn't need. And so we become jaded, and that's this is the frustration, is that when real good information comes along, sometimes we listen through jaded ears because
Well,
we've had bad experiences. So what I can say is, um
mhm.
our in like, our number one goal is to help people get healthy. And what's also really cool, and I think you were about to say this, is that the supplements actually have a money back guarantee. So it's all about helping the person get healthy.
One of the things that you had asked me, kind of what was the difference between what changed 2 years ago and what I've been doing for the last 2 years. So here's the thing. I personally ask them, my clients, to commit to a 90-day period of time, and the doctors that we work with, that comes straight out of them. That's for anything that a person can do. And if somebody, you know isn't really interested in doing that, then I have to say, you know what, that's okay, but I want you to really consider that, you can't just start an exercise program for a week or a month and then think, oh, I'm done. And so the reason that I find that people have so much success working with us is because of the way I schedule my follow-ups, part of the way. So sometimes, with the different options that we have in terms of using supplements with people, there can be 4 or 5 different versions of a certain type of a product, like a multiple vitamin mineral complex as an example, or digestive support as an example. So it's my job to make sure that the person is having an excellent experience on the supplements. So as an example, if something doesn't agree with the person, within the first month of them taking it, I know that if they'll give me a chance to make some adjustments, perhaps in the way they're dosing something, perhaps in the time of day they're taking it, or perhaps in the version of the product we're using, I can almost always get them right back on track within sometimes 2 tries, but usually just one. And the thing that people don't realize is, if they're when obviously we try to get people as much information before they get started, so they understand all of what we do and they have a real sense of who we are, so they're not just, we are all very leery of jumping into anything in this day and age with the internet and everything. And so I get it, but it is really a very unique service that we provide, because, and as a matter of fact, I'll share a story with you that just happened to me yesterday. I have a gal that I've been working with for probably 2 months now, and she's been doing great. She's had nothing but great results over the last couple of months. It's been getting better and better and better. But she brought something to my attention, because we do a follow up. We do a follow up every single month. And until somebody says, you know what, Jen, I'm on a really good program, I'll check in with you in 2 months, or let's put us on for 4 times a year. I don't ever want to lose track of people, because as people's things change, the weather changes, the environment changes, the immune reality changes in our world, right? As we all know, whatever changes, I want to be there to say, you know what, have you considered that if things are not going as well, maybe we need to just tweak something. It's so easy for me to make a little tweak for somebody that might take them so much frustration of years of pain. And here's the example I'm going to give you. This gal yesterday tells me, I've had chronic yeast infections since I was a kid, and I have had chronic bad breath since I was a kid. And I said to
Mm.
myself, have you ever gone on a candida program? And I start talking to her about an overgrowth of yeast and all this other stuff. And she says, well, actually, I have. I said, well, listen, long story short, her doctor had told her, okay, if you have a vaginal yeast infection, I want you to take antibiotics. And she tells me this, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, okay, so have you ever used a topical, like antifungal cream? Nope. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, you know, not only fire all your doctors. Like, what is going on with this? They're giving you antibiotics for a fungal infection, and they're not giving you fungicides for a topical
Mm.
vaginal infection. Like, what's wrong here? So anyway, she was like practically in tears because I said, all I want you to do is go take a candida test online and tell me what comes back. And if it comes back like I think it's going to, we're essentially going to go after, we had already given her the digestive support and the basic essential nutrients, and she was already starting to feel better, but she said, this is still going on. And this is what I ate, and this is how it happened. And I was like, it all came to me like, okay, this is a total picture. Yeah, I get it. Because I've walked through so much of this stuff myself, and I've been to see 17 different naturopaths myself. And so I have, and just the learning that I've done with these doctors over the last 8 years, I mean, I just have enough information to be able to guide people in the right direction. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to diagnose them, but I have enough information to empower them to do a really simple thing that probably will be life-changing. And she was like literally in tears that I cared enough to be able to give her this information, that it was like, and I said, I feel like we might be onto something here, but and I said, I don't know for sure. It's going to be trial and error, but that would be no different than if you went to a naturopath. The same thing. You've probably been to naturopaths. I certainly have. Yes, they have great intentions, but sometimes it's trial and error. So that's why I ask people to commit to at least 90 days of working with me, because if they can't give me that amount of trust, I possibly cannot help them, because we sometimes have to fine tune.
Well, and I like the boundary. You have a healthy boundary there, and that's because it's a unique system in which we're not charging for our time. Now,
Exactly.
as a health coach, I charge for my time. So people pay me for my time, and I'm working with them not only with supplements, but I work with them because I help them adjust their lifestyle. We look at every aspect of their life. But when someone goes to takeyoursupplements.com, they're not paying for their coach's time. They're just buying the supplements that are really meant for them specifically to help them
Hmm.
adjust their issues. They're being given something at such an extreme discount that you have to have a boundary as a health coach. You have to say, like, you need to commit, right? So for me, my clients commit in that they put money, they pay me money, right? So
Right.
if they don't want to show up for their appointment, I mean, that would be sad because I really want them to get their results. Or if they don't do the homework I give them,
Right.
if they're doing it, if they're only putting 50% of their effort into it, I'm like, I still got paid. I'm a health coach. I still got paid. I came to the table. I helped them as much as I could, but they're not willing to do the work. That's on them, not on me. I do my best, right? But for
Right.
you could be helping someone like the next person, because you only have so much time in your day, and you want to help people who are going to be 100% committed to working with you to fine tune, to help dial in, to help be the detective and figure out what's going on so that they can get the maximum results out of the supplements they're taking. And so your boundary is, please, if you're going to go to takeyoursupplements.com, be willing to commit to doing the work, because
Hmm. Yep.
you're showing up to the table to help them basically for free, and you really want them to get healthy, and that you want them to also do the work as well so that they get the best results
Right.
possible.
And here's the clincher, though. Here's the deal. In 90 days, here are some examples of people's health score. Okay. This one gal started out at a -1. So our scoring system is from the ultimate goal for someone's health evaluation is to come out between the 90 and 100%. That's in the positive. Okay.
Hmm.
This gal started at a -1. Okay. With all different kinds of issues. And by the time we retook the health evaluation, this particular one was a little longer. It was at the 4-month mark. Her score went up to an 87. That's 88 points, almost at 90% within 4 months. Okay. As a matter of fact, her testimony is on Learn True Health. Her name is Jennifer Arnold. She gave me permission to give her testimony. We posted it on there. She's got pictures of what she can do now and how
You
she
mean,
feels better and all that.
do you mean the Facebook
She's
group?
I mean the Facebook group. Sorry, what did I say?
No,
The
you said Learn
page.
True Health, and I'm like thinking like,
Learn
is
True
that on
Health
the website? No, it's in the
It's on the
Facebook group.
Learn True. Yep, it's in
Okay,
the
got
Learn
it.
True Health Facebook group. Another example: a gal started with me. She was a negative 20 when she first
Can
started,
you give us an example
and
of like what kind of symptoms did she have as a negative 20? Because I don't like people might not
sure.
know what does it feel like in the day of a life of a negative 20?
So when somebody takes their health evaluation thing, we look at things in four different categories of health. Okay, so, and I'm not going to get into necessarily what those all are, but they're the digestion and different, hard tissue and soft tissue and blood sugar. Those are the main ones, and that those mean different things. They have that's a heading, but there's symptomology that falls under each one of those.
And the symptomology is pointing to it allows us to understand the different nutrient deficiencies on a much deeper level.
Exactly. So this particular gal she has a very, very severe amount of pain around her cycle. For instance, she has, I think it's PCOS, or it's not really clear but she has a lot of pain. So significant amounts of pain, digestive issues. I mean, any different kinds of things. People usually come up. What's unique about what we do versus how a lot of people approach health is, and this is what really sets this program apart, in my opinion, is somebody might come and say, listen, I have terrible migraines, and that's all they tell you. Can you help me fix or heal or elevate my health, in the face of terrible migraines? Well, if you will show me everything going on in your digestive category, your soft tissue category, your hard tissue category, and your blood sugar category, I'm going to have a heck of a lot better chance of helping you elevate your health in the face of migraines than I am if you just tell me you have migraines. And that's what the health evaluation does. So somebody might have this important goal that they want to, get rid of, this thing that's bothering them, their motivation for contacting us, but I'm going to address their issues based on what I'm seeing based on their health evaluation. And that's where people get results, because 9 times out of 10, not 9 times out of 10, but probably 5 times out of 10 at least, it's something going on with their digestion. That's at the root of their issue. So if they tell me, they don't really say they have a lot of digestive issues, but they come up with a really high health score and some going on in their digestion, I'm going to give them digestive support. And in cleaning up their diet and eliminating the inflammation issues, we're going to have success with those migraines much faster than if we just try to throw a bunch of stuff that's specific to migraines at something. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's why so within 90 days, here's another example. A guy comes to me, he's got high blood sugar, high blood pressure, swelling and edema, all this other kind of stuff. His score went up 68 points in exactly 3 months. He does, and he's 100% on board. He's starting to tell his sphere of influence. He just can't even keep his mouth closed about it because he's so excited about the results. Another gal I spoke with and followed up with lately, her score improved 110 points in 3 months. Terrible fibromyalgia pain, terrible pain in her hands, sleep issues, blood sugar issues. Most people don't just have something going on in one of these categories. They have something going on in most of these categories. And this is why our program gets such good results, because the basic program that we give everybody on some level addresses things at a cellular level that contribute to ill health or dysregulation in all 4 of those categories. So the reason I never got the kinds of results I've worked with 17 different naturopathic doctors, all and healers and different people. Got a little bit of benefit probably from most of those that I worked with. Otherwise, I wouldn't have continued. But they never really addressed this foundational issue of, wow, you're malnourished. You don't have enough minerals. You have terrible I mean, I had so many different things that
I
got
remember.
better.
I
Yeah.
remember you actually had a positive diagnosis of Lyme disease and
Mm-hmm.
the co-infections, and you were seeing naturopaths and you were doing you were working hard at it. I remember that,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then you got on board with this supplements that we're using now with our clients and the comprehensive minerals, and that was the major change you made. And then
Yep.
within less than 3 months, you went back for another test and you were negative. And the naturopath said your body, needed these raw building blocks in order to even fight the infection. Like, this was something that you would not have gotten. You could have spent years going to really good naturopathic doctors, but they weren't addressing the foundation of your health problems. And thus, your body needs the raw building blocks to fight an infection.
Well, one of the things that I tell a lot of my clients, I have a lot of clients that I work with that are either considering seeing a naturopathic doctor or currently are seeing a naturopathic doctor. And we are all for naturopaths. Obviously, they're fantastic. So, a couple things. Sometimes people come and they're seeing a naturopath, but they haven't quite gotten, they feel like they're just not quite getting what they need. And so this is where I will often suggest that they add in our program and then go back to the naturopaths are really, really good at getting people out of any kind of a very acute situation. If they're in trouble, they need to probably work with the naturopath. I love it when they do both, but I've had many clients who have worked with me as a coach do our program, and then they use their naturopath. Maybe they have one that they've been seeing for years. They go back to that person for any kind of really challenging fine tuning thing that either we can't figure out or they just love their naturopath and they want to do both. But invariably their health score elevates tremendously and significantly more quickly than it had been during the time that they were just working with their naturopath. Because, like I said, naturopaths, you can't test. There isn't a test to show the deficiencies that we address. It doesn't even exist. The hair mineral analysis test is probably the closest, but it's still not perfect. So for me, for example, I was spending, I think, $250 a month on supplements, plus whatever the fees were to see my naturopath. She thought I had been cleared of Lyme disease, based on her protocols that she had given me. It was a lot of killing of things, antivirals and all this other stuff, which was great, but I had absolutely no energy. I mean, none
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. And she was starting to do things that were just like, it felt to me, not that she had the best intentions. I mean, I loved her, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't hitting the mark anymore. It was just not any longer applicable, really. She was trying this and trying that and doing this, and it just didn't feel right. And so when I heard about this program and started it, I actually was doing both programs for the first 2 months. I was doing these supplements that we now use and her program. And finally, one day I'm driving to her and I'm thinking, well, this is obsolete. I'm not going to do this anymore. And when I met one of the doctors, here's the clincher. When I met one of the doctors who we work with in the program that we use to take your supplements, he asked me the following question. Did your naturopath tell you exactly when you're supposed to be feeling better? Did she give you a timeline of when you're going to feel better? And I said, no, she didn't. He said, I want you to go back and ask her for one. And I'm going to tell you, mine is 3 months. I want 90 days. If you'll give me 90 days and do exactly this, I want you to come back and tell me how you feel. Well, in 5 days, I knew something was different. So
You
we are
mean
all
five
about
days
results
on the new
on the
protocol,
new protocol.
the
Five
one
days on the
that
new protocol.
the one that
Yeah,
we
the new
use
one.
now?
Yes, I woke up in the morning on the fifth day. For my husband and I started at this exact same time. For the first 4 days, neither of us were looking at each other. Did you feel anything? Did you feel anything? Neither of us felt anything for the first 4 days. On the fifth day, I woke up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning with a lucidity and a clarity that I had not had for years.
That happened to
I
me
did not.
too. That
I
happened.
wasn't
That
like
was the
all
exact
better,
thing.
but
Yes.
I was like alive and awake, and I felt this
Yes.
hope, and I was just like, something's going on here. And my husband, who has had a benign tremor since the time he was a kid, shakes. He's benign, but he shakes. Within 5 days, it went down by like 80%. He had a pain in his shoulder that he didn't even tell me about because he thought I'd worry. He then told me on the fifth day, my shoulder's completely better. So, the thing is that it's not, the crazy part about this is it's not rocket science. It's raw materials that the human body requires at a cellular level for optimal function. That's the simplest way I can say it. And when you don't have that, and you're trying to spot treat Lyme disease and spot treat blood sugar issues and spot treat this and spot treat that without the foundation, you're going to be spot treating forever. And and
Yes.
and so what I love doing is, if you need spot treatment and I can't figure out how to do that, I'm not going to spot treat with you first. I won't do it. It's not going to work. You've already been doing that. So let me do the foundational work, and we got to fix the gut. There's no question. We look at people's gut, and you don't have to change their diet based on what we recommend, but if they will do the things that we recommend, it's more of an elimination of inflammation and oxidative producing foods, they will get faster results. I have people who clean up their diet in the first week before they get their supplements, right? They work with me. We decide what they're going to do after the health evaluation, etc. I say, okay, can you eliminate these foods? I send them the email with the foods right away. They get off the foods. By the time I call them to tell them how to go take the supplements, their stomach is already feeling better most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are certain foods that just frankly create so much havoc in the body, and they are in most people's diet. So, a lot of your listeners are not. A lot of my clients will come to me and they're currently not on a lot of these foods because they're already a bit more educated, which is also possibly why in the last couple of years I've had better results, is because people know more, right?
Yes.
They know more since the advent of your podcast. People know more, and they know how to, clean some things up, and they're, so at any rate, it's not rocket science. It's just, it's like God science. It's like earth science. It's just like, food science. It's just science. It just works. And we've had so many years of research that have gone into figuring these specific nutrients out, like over 50 years, gone specifically into the formulation of these supplements in
Mm-hmm.
terms of research and testing and, all the stuff that it's, here's another example. One of the coaches that works with us in Take Your Supplements, she also went through IIN, right? So she's a really well-trained coach, and she loved IIN. She's just a junkie for information. She's
So
just amazing,
just to
right?
clarify for those who don't know what you're talking about, the takeyoursupplements.com is where you is the where you go to get these health coaches, because you can say take your supplements, but takeyoursupplements.com.
Right.
And
Sorry.
IIN
Yes.
is a health coach training institute that takes a year to do. It's an online program, and they don't teach you supplements. They teach you how to
Right.
be a really good health coach, more from the psychological standpoint, and they also teach you 100 dietary theories. And I did IIN and I loved it, but they teach you
Mm-hmm.
zero. They don't teach you what a vitamin C is. They don't teach you what a calorie, like, it's not about nutrients. So IIN is about how to be a good health coach in the emotional aspect and in
Mm-hmm.
diet aspect. And I absolutely love IIN, and I recommend listeners check it out. And if a listener is interested in getting more information about IIN, they can go to they can go to learntruehealth.com/coach, and it gives them a free that redirects them to a page that gives them a free module of IIN. So you can check it out. Just to clarify, it's a year-long program that you do part-time at home while you're still doing the rest of your life. It's about 20 minutes a day that you do it for a year. And it teaches you the psychology of being a good health coach, and it teaches you about diet. There's no information about helping people heal through nutrition. That's not what IIN really focuses on, but they get good results in the helping people change more on an emotional level and on more of a like a habit level. What
Mm-hmm.
Jen offers, so what takeyoursupplements.com offers, is listeners can do a health coach training program. It's actually a holistic health coach training program. It's much shorter. You do it at your
Mm-hmm.
own pace, but it is much shorter. You can complete it in weeks, not months. And
Mm-hmm.
that teaches you exactly how to use these supplements to help, and also the certain things to eliminate from the diet to help people get incredible results that are by getting to the root cause and the foundation of what the people need specifically. And so those two
Mm-hmm.
programs, although completely separate, and they're both considered, health coach programs, they're very different and they complement each other really well. So you're saying that in takeyoursupplements.com there is a health coach that
Yep.
works there, and they've done both programs. And so
Yep.
that's, sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you did. Okay, so let me just change the subject for a quick second, or I'm going to just expound on that. So we have a lot of coaches that have taken our coaching program to learn about how to help people the way that we do, who are IIN graduates. And IIN, Institute of Integrative Nutrition, a lot of my clients have been through that program and they absolutely love it. And nobody has said a single negative thing. As a matter of fact, they're just crazy about it. However, it's like you're saying, it's such a great adjunct to then come and do our program with that background. And people don't necessarily have to, on the other flip side of the coin, people don't have to go through II Institute of, do a year-long program in order to engage and learn to take our health certification program, which is much shorter. It's 6 weeks. It could be both, either, whatever, but they do really complement one another. And a lot of your listeners are very hungry for information. They are information people. They just love learning. So I have a lot of people who have already contacted me and us about going through the health coach certification course that we offer through Take Your Supplements. It's not our program, but we help people get started with it. And we have, I've had probably 25 people that I've worked with go through the program already.
You mean your
And
clients? Your
my
clients
current clients, yep.
have gone
And
through it.
at least 5 of them, if not maybe more, I can't quite call it, at least 5 of them have also been through IIN. But my point is that this one gal, what I was starting to say before, this one of the coaches that works with us, she has been on so many different supplements, and some brands that I have a tremendous amount of there's a couple other brand, supplement programs that I particularly like. One in particular, this gal worked with that brand forever, and she has never felt anything at all from supplements until she started taking ours, which to me is a big deal because it's just, the point is we get results. So, if, and people, that we get results, but we get results because the supplements work. And a lot of times people just take the supplements and they get great results, and it's set it and forget it kind of thing. But in the last couple of years, to take it to another level, I have taken it upon myself to really dive in the ditch with people and figure out how to really get them great results. And that's what I love about what I do, because even though I figured out how to do it so we don't have to charge for our time, which just makes it, we've already gone over that. But the point is that even though I am not IIN trained or whatever, I still do work with folks like, okay, why are you not taking, I work with them on compliance. I work with them on, not in depth, because I don't have enough. They have a half an hour with me, once a month or whatever, rather than, a weekly coach or whatever. But I really try, I refer them. I try to get them the resources if I can't do it with them, so that they start working with a counselor, or they check out this or JK. The point is that we at Take Your Supplements and the health coach certification course, it's very holistic. We work with mindset, we work with exercise, we work with hydration. It's not just the supplements. We work with diet. We really help people understand that if they really want to elevate their health, and we can't give them the resource, we're going to guide them to the right resource. So it's just awesome. And a lot of people that work with us that have gone through the health coach certification course, I just want to talk about that a little bit. It's ridiculously inexpensive. I mean, ridiculously. So everybody can afford it, I promise. It's just like, completely affordable. And but I've had people go through it without working with me as a client, and I've had people go through it working with me as a client. The people who have had the phenomenal success and basically have gone on to share and be, a coach to their friends and family, have been ones that have been a client first, and they only have to go ahead.
People that go on to become successful health coaches.
Yes.
So what you said, just to clarify what you said, your people who work with you, so clients who go to takeyoursupplements.com, they go to takeyoursupplements.com, they get you start working with them,
or one of our other coaches, or one of our other coaches. Mm-hmm.
But but your experience is people working with you. So people work with people who are working with you get, they get on the protocol, right? They go through, you walk them through the entire process as being a client. So they're a client, They're doing their health score, they're getting on the protocol, they're eliminating those foods. And eliminating those foods alone will not solve all the problems, although it does really help. But you're right. I
Hmm.
have had clients who refuse to get off those foods, and they still saw
Right.
results with the supplements.
Yep.
But I've also had clients who were like, "Well, I'm going to try just getting off these foods and not getting on the supplements. So
Mm-mm.
inflammation will go down, but you're still not going to
Hmm.
get. You're not going to fill your nutrient tanks that are deplete. Like
Right.
getting off of some foods isn't going to change your vitamin D levels or zinc levels or magnesium
Right.
levels, right? Or any of the 60 minerals, but it will help to stop putting fuel on the fire. So those two go hand in
Exactly.
hand. So the clients who work with you and do like really focus for 90 days on a
Or even
protocol.
2 months, even 2 months, even a month. They just have to really have a follow up with me and feel like, okay, I get this. I'm getting results. As long as they're kind of getting their feet wet with the process. They've taken the health evaluation. They understand how it works. They're engaged, let's call it, right? They're already engaged. They understand the premise of why we need to do this, that kind of thing. If I've had people do it after a month with tremendous success, but the ones that just say, oh, this is a good idea, I want to do it, even the ones that have been through IIN, Institute of, even those who thought, this is cool, I want to do it, but they haven't taken the supplements themselves or been on the protocol, they don't have the same level of like engagement. I don't know how to explain it. And they really never ended up doing anything with the program. You follow me?
Yeah, because and I totally get it. When you have a visceral experience of
Exactly.
success, even if you like, even for those who are like, well, I'm fairly healthy and I really just want to learn this for my clients, everyone has a visceral experience of, and
Yep.
especially you're just having the experience of being the standpoint of the client. I think that's really
Totally. It's so
it's
important.
so, yeah, it's really good information to collect for someone who wants to become a holistic health coach, to be on the side of the client, to experience that.
Totally.
And then when you go do the course, the online course to become the holistic health coach, you really understand like why you want to learn these things about the research behind it and the new what symptoms the body exhibits um when we have certain nutrient deficiencies. Like it just gets really fascinating. So
It
it's, but
does.
you're invested also. Like you're invested once you become a client and you experience the supplements, you have a physical experience, but then you're also invested in it. And then when you go take the course, you're like, oh, that's why I felt this, and that's why this works, and that's why there's this ingredient, or that's why there's this, this
Totally.
this amount of this nutrient in it. So, I just geek out on all these kind of details. But if someone just went in and just took the course and has never had any experience of the supplements or any experience from the client side, they're missing out on the full understanding of it. So I get why
Yep.
you'd want someone to go to takeyoursupplements.com and then work with a coach,
Yeah.
experience it, and then go do the course. Um,
Well, I mean, they don't have to. Certainly, folks have taken it that haven't, but my experience has been that it's not nearly as beneficial.
yeah.
But sometimes people, and not everybody that takes the health coach course is going to want to be a health coach. I've had at least, I would say, maybe a third of the folks take the course, maybe not quite that many, a quarter maybe, who have really done it because they just want to increase their own advocacy for them and their family. They really want to understand how to basically take care of themselves. I mean, I help them to the best of my ability, but the more that they can know stuff for themselves, just like why they listen to your podcast, they're empowered, and they're empowered by knowledge. And so a lot of times people benefit from taking the course, even if they don't necessarily want to go on to, actively have a client-based health coaching practice, but just really want to learn and be, equipped with, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's not that complicated. Once you understand, the basic four categories of health and how we have to balance things and nutrify the body at a foundational level and then fine tune as needed. It's not like somebody has to have a super, I mean, I don't have any kind of a degree in, I'm not a super I don't have that super medical background, right? And people ask me that, well, what's your background? Well, you know what, I've been doing this for a really long time, and I am a health coach, and I'm certified in what I'm good at, and I'm going to stay within my lane. If you need to go talk to a doctor about, some diagnosis, that's what you're going to do. So we're not diagnosing anything. We're not doing that. We're supporting the body from a very foundational level, and the body is doing the work that it's designed to do because it now has the building blocks to do it completely. rather than,
Mm-hmm.
missing a little of this, missing a little of that. One of the interesting things about the problematic things about, for instance, people say, well, I heard selenium's really good for you. I'm going to go out and eat 5 Brazil nuts every day. People tell me that a lot. And I say, you know what? That's wonderful. But I'm just going to, sorry to burst your bubble, but unless the soil that Brazil nut, which you don't know where it was, has selenium in it, you're not going to get any selenium in that Brazil nut, right?
Right.
And being that soils are, they soils have veins of minerals in them, not a full, like every spot has got selenium in it. So
Fly across the
it's
country. Fly across the country. Or remember the last time you flew and you look down. I always get the window seat. Like, and I think then when I married my
yeah.
husband, that he insisted on getting the window seat. And I think we kind of fight over the window seat. And now that we have a kid, we have another on the way. I think I'll never get the window seat again. I'm probably, but when I was a kid, I always got the window seat. And I would watch for hours as the terrain changed. We would fly from Toronto to Puerto Vallarta, so we saw a big chunk of the continent. And I would watch as the farmlands, the soil would change color. There's areas where it's red, there's areas where it's almost pink, there's areas where it's black. It color is, well, obviously moisture does play a role, but color largely when it comes to soil, you can see the different mineral compositions are obvious in some ways. In other ways, you'd have to actually go and test the soil itself. But there's not an even amount of iron distributed throughout the whole crust of the earth. There are 60 essential minerals. There's more than 60 minerals and elements that exist, but the body requires specific 60 specifically. Um, there's a specific 60 minerals that the body requires. And everyone knows calcium and magnesium and zinc, but everyone knows those ones. But farmers will only put NPK back in the soil. Most farmers don't remineralize the soil with all the trace minerals and elements. And so if
Right.
someone's been farming that land for 100 years, that soil is absolutely depleted. And especially if it's so organic doesn't necessarily mean more nutrients, but it definitely doesn't mean less.
Right.
Organic simply means that they're not using, and there's something like 2,000 chemicals that are even approved for organic farming. So it doesn't necessarily mean chemical free, but it does mean free of the really, really bad chemicals like glyphosate, which is an active ingredient in Roundup. Roundup is a chelator. It binds to certain minerals and metals and elements, and it removes them, it washes them away from the soil. And so if we've been farming a land and putting these specific kinds of chemicals on the land that are chelating the land, and even with tilling, the way they till the way they destroy the composition of the nutrients by tilling, there's all these farming practices that are designed to maybe help make a big yield now, but completely destroy the nutrition for later. And so if we're relying on a Brazil nut for our selenium, we're living in a fool's paradise. Just like if we're thinking we're going to get our iron from spinach or our calcium and magnesium from broccoli, you look at, and you can even see it, like you could Google it and start looking into this yourself, that they did tests in like the 50s and 60s for carrots and the nutrients in carrots, and then the carrots today have significantly less sugars, nutrients, like even the beta carotene's lower. It's just our food is becoming less and less nutritious. Now, of course, there's always an exception to that. There are a handful of farms out there that remineralize their soil, that do practices that protect the soil to make the most nutritious food. And of course, you can grow your own. And even one of the naturopaths that we work with at takeyoursupplements.com, and as part of the supplement program, you can buy in large quantities this special kind of humic shale. It's black, it's beautiful, and it is absolutely amazing to put into the garden. If you put into your lawn, your lawn is the envy of your entire neighborhood. But I don't like growing lawns, I like growing gardens. And when you use it for any amount of vegetable or fruit, you see such a yield, you wouldn't believe it. It's even in Japan, they use it there in certain fields, and there's a machine they'll measure the sweetness, they'll measure the sugar content. and it puts it through the roof. And when I say sugar content, I don't mean this all of a sudden that the food is now unhealthy because there's more sugar in it. I mean it's more flavorful. It has more phytonutrients, the phytochemicals. It has more minerals in it, and as a result, it tastes like a real, like you really, really taste it. Nowadays, I taste a carrot. The carrots taste like cardboard. Back when I was a kid, you bit into a carrot, it was like eating dessert. And
Mhm.
that just goes to show you how much our food has been stripped of the nutrients we're supposed to be getting. I believe that, 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, when we kind of traveled more, when we ate more food from different regions, and all these foods were grown, naturally, and the soil wasn't deplete. Like, think about the Nile, right? The Nile would flood every year and bring new minerals to the soil, and then the Nile would, go back, and they'd grow all the crops there in that freshly remineralized soil. And I believe we had we almost had no chronic disease. People died of other
Mhm.
things, like because of sanitary reasons, but we didn't have the diseases we have now.
Yep.
And we didn't have the nutrient deficiencies that we have now. So it's just really interesting to look at, what are we dealing with now? What's changed, especially in the last few hundred years, what's really changed? But now we require supplements. I don't think we always required supplements. I think that as humans, we were getting enough nutrients at some point, but now
Mhm.
we're not. And so we really
Right.
need to fill those nutrient gaps. If the body's missing a little bit of something, it doesn't really have any major symptoms. It's when we're significantly missing a nutrient that we start to have major symptoms. And MD based medicine is not designed to look at the body from the standpoint of nutrient deficiency unless it is so overt, like a goiter, right? Unless it is so
Mhm.
overt, you basically have to look like you have come from a starving village in a different country for an MD to go, well, maybe you should take a multivitamin or something. But what we're
Mhm.
looking at, because naturopathic medicine doesn't wait till you get sick to then
Right.
treat you with a drug. Naturopathic medicine goes, let's look at where you are now, and let's help you get to optimal health. So they're
Mhm.
trained differently. So naturopathic medicine is a different standpoint. We're trying to get you to optimal health and to completely filling up all your nutrient tanks and making sure every cell is running optimally. MD medicine is an intervention that has to wait till you get sick enough to give you a drug to intervene. both
Mhm.
we should have both in our life, but we should not rely only on one. We should definitely know
Right.
when to go to emergency medicine and when to go to
Mhm.
holistic medicine to get us healthy, MD based medicine to catch us when we need emergency surgery, when we need, when we're suffering from an infection that our body can't handle, like that, when we've been in a car crash, like that's when we want MD based medicine. But chronic issues, because of chronic lack of nutrients, that's when we have a problem, and we need to address it by filling the body up with the nutrients it needs.
Right. Well, one of the things that comes to mind too as you're talking is a couple things. One of them is I'm always really surprised when I have a client that's really young and has a terrible health score. But I shouldn't be surprised because unfortunately, they're younger than me, I mean by half usually. And the generations, it gets worse through the generations of lack of nutrition, right? So if your mother was depleted and your father was depleted, it's going to be worse in the next generation. And but it's really shocking and alarming, the level of autoimmune issues, digestive issues, all kinds of things that people in their 20s are appearing with. um, and so one of the things I also wanted to share about what we do and why our community, because it really actually is a community, whether a person decides to work with us at Take Your Supplements as a client only or as a person that wants to get more involved and learn about how they might influence a few of their friends and family or a lot of their sphere of influence. We have all different kinds of ways that people can engage. And that's what I love about it, because it's really, there's never any pressure to do anything. It's always, where do you fit and how can we serve you? But those that do decide to partake and learn, we also have an amazing ongoing level of support, all for free, besides just working with the coaches. I mean, for those who want to learn more, there are weekly and take the health coach course. There are weekly free calls 5 days a week on different topics where, you know, our gut specialist comes on, different specialists that we have that work with different parts of the, you know, supplement protocols, who are skilled in different areas. There's ongoing training on a weekly basis, that all for free. It all comes within the course of the ridiculously low cost of the health coach course. And for those that are clients that work with us, but they really want to become better advocates, they don't want to take the course or they don't want to do the training, we also have an amazing level of educational materials and ways for them to plug into the community, similar to how you have on your Learn True Health Facebook page. People can, you know, get into the community that way. We have our private Facebook groups, but we also have educational webinars and lectures on different health topics from the perspective of, you know, this foundational nutrition plus the necessary add-ons that people can continue to learn. And so, you know, our main goal is to not only help people have success with their own health, educate themselves about not having to be reliant. So for example, if your doctor tells you, oh, you have a yeast infection, please take some antibiotics, you know, you're going to understand that you would never do that. Like, that's the exact opposite thing that you need to do to get rid of a chronic yeast infection, is to take an antibiotic. You know, so I mean, you know, I get a little bit irate when it comes to stuff like that. You know, this person was thinking yesterday, and I talked to, she's like, I feel so dumb. I said, you're not dumb. Your doctors are completely uneducated, and, you know, it's a crime. It's a crime against humanity. The level of you know, information that was suppressed early on in the early part of the century about all of this, you know, and it's all, you know, anyway, I don't want to get into the whole political part of it, but you know, I don't get me started. But the point is that you know, I just feel like, you know, if we have a lot of value, as your podcast has a lot of value, but it's specific to, you know, what we do. And so I just encourage people to come check us out, have a free consult if they decide, you know, if they want to chat about what the options are. And then I just want to say one other thing, and that is that we have specific protocols too. Like, for example, I mentioned a gut specialist. I want to share with you just something that happened with one of my clients. She did years and years of cleansing thinking she had parasites, and she did a lot of aggressive parasite cleansing. And a lot of stuff, she was seeing a lot of stuff and different things were happening. But when she came to me, she didn't have very good energy. She had kind of scattered mental issues, not really focused, a lot of things going on, and a pretty negative health score. And I got her on the basics, and I worked with her for a while, and we started with some extra digestive support, and we got her up and running. So she was doing better and better. But after about 4 months, it became obvious to me that she really needed to do our full 20-day gut restoration protocol, because she had had years of antibiotics, and she had, you know, years of now cleansing from parasites, which is great, but you can't just cleanse. You've got to refluoride, you know, put good stuff back in. So after we did the 20-day full gut restoration protocol, which has been incredibly successful with people who have either chronic digestive issues, chronic health issues that won't resolve, or chronic allergies, histamine response, skin rashes. Those are the things we've seen the best results with this particular protocol. But after she did that, her health score significantly went up, and now she's sort of like smooth sailing into the realm where I like to get my clients, where she's like, okay, Jen, we can talk every 3 months now, because we got her over this hump, and she knew it. And I knew it. And she was like, you know, I could tell just by the way she was responding back to me that it was like, oh yeah, I'm good. You know, I'm starting to actually feel like I made progress, even though she was getting better and better through that whole time. So I've gotten a little bit more savvy to recognize when somebody might need to actually start with that protocol. So sometimes in this last season, I will start my clients right away on that 20-day gut protocol before I will even start them on the basic foundational supplements, only because they've had, you know, chronic diarrhea or chronic antibiotic use or something like that. So that's just another kind of, I mean, so many of the people that you have interviewed are, talking to us about the absolute vital essentialness of getting our gut on track. And so we've put together a protocol, our gut specialist put together this particular protocol, what particular ND gut specialist that studied, the microbiome for years. And she put together this very, very comprehensive protocol. And I have had phenomenal results with that.
Oh, I
So,
love it. I love it. Well,
yeah.
Jen, I'm just so excited that, you and I work together in this way to support all the listeners. So many of them have come back to me and said, "I worked with Jen," and I mean, they're just glowing. They're so excited. I get feedback all the time, that people have had such great results, that listeners, and of course listeners can go to the Facebook group, because in the last, now we're coming up on, can you believe it, our 5th year anniversary of the podcast. Learn to Health podcast
Wow.
is going to be 5 years old. March 1st, I believe, is when we launched it. And it's been a dream of mine to have a podcast ever since podcasts came out, and I didn't ever know it would go in this direction. But when I got my health back, when I was suffering for so many years and I got my health back, I knew I wanted to turn around and tell everyone, and I did. I told my friends. A bunch of my friends got on the same protocols and had amazing results, and I've shared that in past interviews. And this is why we keep saying, I mean, Jen has said this over and over again, that this interview, and I've said it, if you want to help your friends and family. And that's because when you get results, like when you no longer are suffering from what you were suffering from, you want to tell those you love. Like it's really hard not to, and it's sort of a natural human instinct. And that's why I love that we set this up, because I helped so many of my friends and family, and then they went on to help their friends and family. It's just like, let's spread the word that we're mission based. We have a
Mission
mission
based.
to help as many people as possible to learn true health. We have a mission
Amen.
to help you to no longer suffer. Suffering is you should there's suffering should be optional. And when you stick with a health care system that is designed to manage disease, you are going to be in a state of disease. That's just it. But that's the only thing we're sold. And I know that listeners come here because they're sick of that system. And what they want is, they want more information, and they realize they have to advocate for their own health. And everyone at takeyoursupplements.com have all been through the same thing, have all had health problems, have overcome them with this protocol, with these supplements, and with removing these foods. And all of them have then gone on to train and become health coaches and help others, help clients, help friends, and help family. And so we're all in this together, spreading this information. And that is the same mission that I've been so empowered for the last 10 years. But the naturopaths that have trained us, that built this system, this was their experience too, that it was like their clients, their patients, I should say, the best way that they grew their business as naturopaths is that it was all word of mouth, because their patients would get better, like real results, and then they'd go tell everyone, and it would just grew that way. So this is a word of mouth effort, and we're helping as many people as we can. And so keep sharing it, keep spreading it, keep sharing the podcast, share this episode. If you have a health complaint of any kind, even if you've been told you will have it for the rest of your life. We have one man he was on the maximum dose of insulin, and type 1 diabetic, maximum dose. There wasn't any more it would take. And his body was not responding well to the insulin, and it was really not looking good for him. And then he got on this protocol, and he was able to cut his insulin down by 75%, and it got his body back in order. So even things that you've been told you'll have for your whole life, like type 1 diabetes, you can even see improvement within that realm. Or if you're told you have an autoimmune condition, you'll always have it. Or maybe you've had certain organs removed, like your gallbladder, something like you're just, this is the thing you're stuck with, and an MD will say, well, you just have to live with it. You don't know how amazing the body can actually improve when given all the nutrients it needs to improve, given the constraints it has. Just like Jen, you have a physical constraint in your spine because of a car accident. Anyone else I know would be on massive medication and bedridden. You walk around freely, because of how you've learned to take care of yourself with holistic medicine. So this is the point, is if you're suffering from anything, even if you've been told you can't get over it by a doctor, and don't listen to those doctors. I was told I'd never have kids. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, I had type 2 diabetes, I had chronic adrenal fatigue, I had chronic infections. I had a very angry and inflamed liver, and I was going down a path of deep suffering for many years until I finally found this way of healing the body. And I no longer have infertility. I was told by an endocrinologist that I would never have kids. And we conceived our son naturally, and we conceived the baby that I'm carrying right now naturally. And it's 31 weeks into the healthiest pregnancy. My midwife, who's been a midwife for over 20 years, she says is the healthiest pregnancy she's ever seen. And so just to give you that idea, it's like you don't even know. If you just listen to an MD tell you that your limitations and you believe those limitations, those are your limitations. But if you
Hmm.
say, I do not buy into this. I will not allow these to be my limitations. I'm going to go see how much I can heal my body with natural medicine. And you go to takeyoursupplements.com and you just try it. Like Jen said, just try
Hmm.
it for 90 days and
Hmm.
see how far you can get, and then keep going from there. If you get results, keep going and just see how
Hmm.
far you can get, because look what I did and look what Jen did. And
Hmm.
that's why I'm like on my soapbox. I'm so passionate that you can have amazing health, and you just got to go in this direction and give it a try.
Well, and on that note, I want to bring up a couple things. Sometimes people feel a little uncomfortable with the concept, like they want to share this amazing, information with their friends and family, or they want to help their friends and family, but they're just either A, they don't have the time, or B, they're just, I don't know, they're shy or whatever. So one of the other things that we do is we have a program where that person would become like a connector, rather than feeling like sometimes those people may really want us to help their friends and family, but they don't want to take the course. We have that option also. So I just want people to know that, that we work with all sorts and all types of conditions of man, so to speak. Like we really can try to work out whatever a person needs scenario wise. If they, you know what I mean? Like I don't want people to think, well, they have to go necessarily take the course to get their friends and family help or anything like that. They can refer people, and and we are so grateful for that, and we can help their friends and family with them. They can learn how to do it. There's a lot, any different which way. And then the other thing I want to bring up is that sometimes people are on a really limited budget, and they're like, well, can I still get help? Can I still get benefit? Absolutely. Obviously the more people can invest, the faster they get results. But that's why we're so encouraging of folks to work with us, because we talk about all those things. We look at it. We honestly try to go, okay, how much can you genuinely do on a monthly basis? And let's do the very best that we can for you with that, so that you aren't getting stressed about money too. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
we
right.
we take it all into consideration. Whereas, I just got done with this one gal the other day, and she was going to go see a naturopath. And not that this is a bad thing to do, but not everybody needs to do this. She really doesn't have that many health problems, but she was going to go spend $500 just to get her blood drawn. To not That doesn't say supplements, that's just to get the process started, to then figure out what she needs to do from there. And I said, please feel free to do that if that's what you want, but let me suggest that work with me for 90 days. And if you still are not feeling like you're doing as well as you need to, please, go do that. But I just love this idea that, I mean, why should somebody that's wearing a white coat, even a naturopathic doctor? I mean, the more we know, like this is so crazy, but I don't know, it must have been a prophetic thing. I worked with a naturopath when I was, I don't know, maybe 27 years old. One particular guy, he says to me, one of these days, you're going to know more than most doctors. And I'm thinking, how is that even possible? And the truth of the matter is it's true. It really is true. And it's not that I know anything about surgery or, anything like that or that kind of, but, and I don't understand everything, by any means. I'm still completely learning myself, but I can help people enough to get them feeling better very quickly. That's,
I like
and
how humble
that,
you are. You know a lot. You know a lot, but the thing is, we don't the it's a use a very specific type of medicine where we don't need to look at labs.
Right.
because we're coming at it from a different angle. Now, that's not to say that people shouldn't get a year annual physical. Like, I think everyone, and
Absolutely.
go get a physical from a naturopath, because naturopaths at least spend an hour to 90 minutes with you, right? And they really,
Yep.
and they really comb through your whole life, and they're great to go for your annual physical. See a naturopath if you can, a licensed naturopath. Um, Annual physicals are good. You should always like just be conscious of the labs. But remember, if you go to an MD, they're looking at your labs to see what drugs they can put you on. That's it.
Right.
They're not looking at your labs to tell you to eat like better or take a
Right.
supplement or go for a walk. Like, unless you're seeing an MD that's been trained outside of the norm, right? And gone for
Hmm.
holistic training, or gone for training,
Functional.
functional medicine training.
Hmm.
The average MD is looking at your labs to see when they can put you on Lipitor, when they can put you on, whatever medication. And so it's two totally different philosophies. Are you looking to get optimal health, or are you looking to get so sick that you need to manage disease? And I've helped people get so healthy that their doctors took them off of meds, and I know you have too. And my goal is to help everyone get so healthy that you don't have a life sentence from a doctor from some diagnosis. You no longer have a diagnosis because you no longer
Hmm.
have all the symptoms and you're just feeling great.
Hmm.
That's exactly what we're here to
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
Hmm.
Jen, thank you so much for
So
coming
cool.
on the show. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
my
sharing this
pleasure.
information. I can't wait
My
to hear.
pleasure.
I'm really excited to hear the results of this episode. I'm really excited to hear
Yeah.
the listeners come to the Facebook group, the Learn to Health Facebook group, and share their experiences working with Jen and working with the other coaches at takeyoursupplements.com as you go through it. I would just love to hear more feedback from the listeners. This is something that I'm so passionate about because I've been through it and I went out the other side. And so it's like Plato's allegory of the cave. I don't know if you guys know, it's 2,500 year old about that. But Plato says it's beautiful. You should go Google allegory of the cave and watch what little YouTube videos that they make of it. But basically, Plato talks about these men that were chained in a cave their entire lives, and all they saw were shadows dancing upon the back of the cave. And so they thought the entire world was two dimensional and black and white. And one day, when a man escapes his chains, runs outside, and all of a sudden he sees 3 dimension and color, and he can't believe it. And he comes back in to the cave to try to wake up his fellow man, and they attack him for it because they're not ready to hear that reality isn't like black and white and one dimensional, right? Or two dimensional. And so the point is, those who are listening to this podcast are escaping the cave. They're ready to have their reality change. They're ready to heal their body in a holistic manner. And it's taking on a new paradigm. So take on a new paradigm and try it, and you will, like, you like me will become like just absolutely smitten with holistic medicine when you can say that you overcame all these things that you were told you'd never overcome. It's just amazing. And the body has an amazing innate ability to heal itself. I'm so thrilled that you're doing the work you do, and I feel blessed to work with you, Jen, and that you have helped so many of the listeners. Thank you for the work that you do. You are tirelessly, daily investing all of your time into helping all these people, and I have to acknowledge that the hard work you do is paying off, and that all those people that you've helped, their lives are affecting so many people, and so it's a ripple. Even though
It
you're
is.
talking to one
Hmm.
person at a time, but really you have helped hundreds of people at a time because their life goes on to help others. So thank you for the work that you do.
Well, thank you so much for saying that, Ashley. I do, I really appreciate you saying that. I mean, sometimes it feels, most of the time it's very rewarding and you feel very, people are very grateful. Every once in a while, when something happens, you think, oh my gosh, am I making any difference? So it really is nice to hear you say that. And I know it's true. And I do receive that. I want to share one last story with you. About just the way that things happen prophetically in life. When I was really at my sickest, I met a man and he was very spiritual. And he said something to me. He said, Jen, your complete healing is not going to come until it's going to be like a patchwork quilt. It's going to happen when it affects the most number of people. It's going to be like a domino effect. And he said, that is going to be like, that's how your life is going to be, is that your complete healing. And it's, for me, it's been years of layers of healing, right? Spiritually and in many different ways. You can go back and listen to my story. I think it was episode 9 and 10 you said, but but it's like the more I was talking to my husband about this, everything that I have been through, it's not been in vain. It just has not been. And I think that's what he meant when he said that thing about the patchwork quilt, because, if we genuinely have a desire to serve and help other people and not be in it just for ourselves, I feel like, the blessing of when you look back over your life and see what you've had to walk through and the level in which now it's helping other people, it's the silver lining basically of your suffering.
Yeah.
And I just really feel so grateful that, particularly in this season, it just feels like a really blessed season where a lot of people are getting help, particularly when the world is waking up to the fact that, there's so much misinformation on so many different levels. And I just feel so blessed to be able to give this much value. And I am so grateful for you and the way in which we've been able to share this information through, your amazing listening audience, because we wouldn't be reaching near the numbers of people had it not been for this podcast. So thank you for the amazing work that you do. And, I am always getting so much feedback from your listeners, which are, a good chunk of my clients. They just are so incredibly grateful for the way that the podcast has changed their outlook on health and continues to, evolve them as people. So
Yes.
thank you. Yep.
Absolutely. Well, let's just keep evolving together. All of us are evolving and growing together in this health journey. I do feel truly blessed, and our suffering has not been in vain, and let no one's suffering be in vain here. As long as we are committed to helping ourselves and then helping others, we will keep growing together spiritually and physically. And I can't wait to have you back on the show to hear more stories of success. I just love it.
Awesome. Well, I'll look forward to it. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Jennifer Saltzman. If you're interested in getting some more information about becoming a health coach through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, go ahead and go to learntohealth.com/coach to get a free module. You can always give them a call and mention my name, Ashley James, to get the listener discount if you do choose to sign up and do the IIN program. And then if you'd like to talk to Jennifer Saltzman or one of our health coaches that helps you figure out the right supplements for you and the right diet based on the nature paths that we work with and the protocols that have been designed by them that work really well. These are the protocols that I was able to use to reverse all of my chronic health conditions, and Jen has used as well, and we have been using for the last 10 years with our clients, having great success. Then you can go to takeyoursupplements.com. All you do is fill out the information, and then we reach out to you by text and email and schedule a phone call. There's no obligation to buy anything, and there's frankly no sign up, no paying of the health coach. You talk to us, and then we help you to get on the right supplements, and then you buy the supplements, and there's a 30-day money back guarantee. So really there's no risk, and it's all reward. And we set it up that way so that we help people as much as possible to get their health back and get their life back, because we know what it's like to suffer. We've been there. We've been in your shoes, and we really, really want to help as many people as possible to get on the other side and to get healthy. And honestly, most of our customers come from referrals, because one person gets healthy and then their entire family and their friends go, wait a second, what just happened? You look amazing. We've never seen you this way. And that's how most of our referrals come. So it's really word of mouth, and that is to the credit of how great this program works. So go to takeyoursupplements.com and check us out. And also, if you're a health coach yourself and you want to learn more about how to become a health coach that uses these protocols, there's, as Jen talked about, a very quick, it's a quick program, online, done at your own time, done at your own pace. You can complete it in a matter of weeks, and it teaches you all of the protocols. And then there's ongoing weekly training and support, which is really cool. And it's a very, very, very affordable program, which I love, because we want to make this accessible to the masses. So you can talk to, you can go to takeyoursupplements.com and fill it out if you wanted to talk to them about getting involved as a health coach or taking the health coach program through takeyoursupplements.com. We'd love to have you. And both these programs, both IIN and also the Take Your Supplements program, those two health coach programs really complement each other, as we talked about in the interview, because one really specifically deals with protocols for specific illnesses for nutrition and diet, whereas IIN helps teach you how to be a great coach to help people change their habits and understand the broader nutrition. So they both go really well together. And if you just want to be part of a great community, come join our Facebook group. Just find Learn True Health in Facebook or learntruehealth.com/group. That'll direct you to the Facebook group. Come join the group. We'd love to have you there. It's a fantastically supportive community of holistic minded people like yourself, like me, all seeking true health. Thank you so much for being a listener. Happy 5th anniversary to the Learn True Health podcast. Here's to the next 5 years and continuing this journey with you. And thank you for sharing these episodes with those you care about. That is how we grow. That is how we help as many people as possible to learn true health.